Okay guys, welcome back. I hope you can hear me during this for toothpick archaeology number 2. First one was just an introduction. I just wanted to show you, so up at where I'm at, just walking around. So rodents in general, archaeologists hate them and love them. One, because they bring up objects. So you can clearly see this was flint napped. There's once again what was struck off, which is the ventral and dorsal side. Doesn't look like it is. Hi Nosk. Here's my puppy. She's my expedition manager. Right, Nosky? Good girl. Yeah, good girl. Expedition manager came to check it. She said I'm correct. So, but they bring up artifacts that you don't necessarily, you're kind of surprised right here, like this. Looked like it was starting to be an arrow or a punch. Could be a punch, depending on what, how far they went. But so I've been cataloging these. When I find them, I have to come back out and catalog them. That's why I'm leaving them here. But it's just amazing. You walk the grounds and there's a lot of hoses. My father likes to water a lot of trees. But look right here. There's another one. Ventral. Oh, that one's got ants. So I'll show you from here. Last time that happened, I got bit to shreds. That is a spear point. You can clearly see the work that's being done on it. And now the ants are going crazy. Okay, so I hope you can hear me. That's why I'm trying to at least make it so you can hear me. Now here we have, next to the ant pile, another artifact. It's in the ground. Right now I'm not digging because I don't have the tools. The last thing you want to do is go in here and, just be yanking it up. That would not be good. Break the object. And also at the same time, you break the stratification. So stratification, for those who aren't aware, it's you go through soil and you will actually see lines, and those lines are different periods of time. In different places, there will be more of them. In other places, there will be less of them, or they'll be thinner or thicker, all depending on perhaps even like how much water they got that year, etc., etc. What you look for as an archaeologist, the biggest thing. So when I was working in, seeing this just looks like it came to be a flake. I don't see, there is a little work done here, but I don't think they were going to be doing anything with this. So we'll put that back in there. And like I said, so the stratification varies from place to place. Like, so here in Colorado, the stratification, the thing is Colorado soil is incredibly difficult to dig in. There's a lot of rocks, big rocks. So a lot of the stuff on top is just easy to move because it's mostly pine needles, rocks, things like that. But then once you get under there, you start going deeper, it gets a lot harder. You'll hit clay layers, you'll hit softer soil, and then rocky areas. So you can't judge any area by how old it is just by going to another area and then saying, oh yeah, well, in this area was this. So what you kind of want to do is you need to establish those areas of stratification, and you need to work with them and try to determine, I mean, that will be later, way later after your dig, try to determine from those layers about where you'd be at, because there is work that is done luckily by geologists who can then figure out about when that layer was actually part of the land on top. Now there's two things that are really massive for archaeologists that are a big deal. One is, you can see the rodent mounds. There's a whole bunch of voles this year, so they're pushing things up. Oh, and that's something I want to add. If you are digging molehills, any of them. I highly recommend wearing a mask, at least in Colorado. I would recommend it actually in other places too. Strictly because, sorry, I have sunflower seeds I'm spitting out. Strictly because what comes out, I mean, there can be a lot of different things like rat bite fever. It can be, there can be a bunch of fleas. There can be different types of parasites. So I highly recommend wearing gloves and a mask as well. I'm not wearing a mask right now, so we're not even going to touch this. Now over here, we have had a pile that's been here for a while. And I think right off the bat, you see this top to this? Right here. See how there's that top and then there's this side? This is probably going to pop right out. Yep. Didn't need to do anything. So this is a different form of spear because it has this top. They vary from different tribes, different time periods, etc. You can see the top there. Now let's look right here. Next to it, just happens to be what would look like the beginning of a spear, but this is actually a core. So a core, they would have been making spear points off of this, most likely. Now I had to look a little closer, but that would be my guess. And so you have all these different objects. We're gonna put that, oh, you know what? Looking at this now, and see, a lot of times the best thing to do is put it in your hand and then feel it, and feel what does it feel like? What's the best place that this feels good? And for me, it's right here. So am I getting any kind of serrated edges on this? Is it anything that feels right? No. So when I put my hand here, it makes it much easier to start flaking off these areas because my hand's here. Now, if you look at that point, let's say I just get rid of that. See, that would be a phenomenal spear point. So maybe that's what they were going for on this. Again, it's always hard to completely determine that, particularly with unfinished objects. We're gonna move over here where there's a nice object I just saw earlier. This is my second dog, Fawn. She's kind of the assistant archaeologist. She's not the best at it, but hey, it's gotta be what it's gotta be. I don't get to choose my superiors. Anyway, so over here, here's again another rodent mound. You see, they do bring up, I'm just gonna barely touch this one. They do bring up a lot of very interesting artifacts. There you can see was the very beginning of a spear / knife, depending on how far they wanted to go. Now, a lot of times they repurpose this. So maybe in the beginning this was a spear, and then as it got beat up, it became a knife. But it doesn't seem as sharp of a blade as I'm used to, so my guess is this actually was still being worked on to be a spear. The point is semi-sharp. Skeeter, is everything okay? Do you agree with the dig? What do you think? Spear point? You don't know? What do you think we should go with? Yeah or no? No, you don't like it? Okay. So I guess maybe it wasn't a spear point, but she's uninterested with that object. Sorry, having a little drink. And anyway, I'm sorry, by the way, if my voice sounds funny. I'm a little sick, so I've been trying to take it easy. So yeah, these rodent hills, and this one looks like it's finally been possibly, possibly abandoned, because you can see that there seems to be no, it's very, very, very strong. It's very, most rodent hills, they are very soft. And so this being as strong as it is, most likely, let's see, here's another very interesting object here. This looks like to me like it's going to be either, because the blade stops here, and again, always be careful. This is where the toothpick part comes in. Never ever want to, one, go underneath, and so if you go underneath and you pull all that stuff out, you're going to risk damaging artifact. But you know, so you never want to undercut it. That's what that's called, is undercutting. So you always want to go around it, kind of find the sides, and kind of continue with that until you find a place that you feel like, oh, this object is going in this direction. Oh, that was not what I meant to do. Please don't do that. That was a mistake. Luckily, that mistake was acceptable because it didn't actually crack the object. This object was like that, as you can see, but it was supposed to be a spear point. It's beautiful, though. Isn't that beautiful? It's gorgeous. And it's not, that's the other thing, it's not very common to find these minerals up here. Normally it's quartz. It's always been quartz. So it was strange to me when I first started looking into this that we were finding different minerals, and even harder minerals than what was normally seen. So you have these different minerals that are harder. Now, I worked in a lab where we worked on flaking debitage, and I literally spent 6 hours a day going through, not even artifacts, literally going through flaking debitage. And with that flaking debitage, I would look at every single little piece and try to categorize it into a type of mineral. So that's what I ended up doing. Now, you know, it was tedious, but I learned a lot, and I learned a lot about how to determine if something is a tool or flaked or not. I didn't work with tools, but I did work with flaking debitage. Now, so let's see if I can pull something that will show you guys a little bit what I'm talking about. It's not a great example because it's using a different mineral. Let's see if there's anything on the surface here that's obvious. So this has the potential. Yeah, okay. So here's just a normal flake. There's the ledge. Here's the side. Here's the ventral and the dorsal. And this was basically just flaked off of a rock. That was it. Just right off of a rock. And then that flake went down. And basically, whatever you flaked it off of, like this. So if you hit that, that goes off, and then you start creating what you want to create in the long run. Whether it be a knife, whether it be a spearhead, arrowhead. There are so many different things. Hand axes. Actually, this one's pretty interesting to me. It's made of a very different material than I'm used to. You can see once again, it's kind of got that arrowhead look. It looks lighter. This would definitely work as a good arrowhead. We're gonna put that back where I found it, because I need to go, and once again, I need to take all these pieces and run them through and make sure I catalog exactly where they are. This may be a good place. So here's a pit mine. I'll take you guys on a little bit. There's a rodent den. Again, not a good place to be. Not a good place to really dig. If you find objects on top of it, fine. You can grab them. I'd recommend not spending a lot of time around them. Once again, mask, gloves, and make sure that you get that all off when you are done. So you can see right here is one tiny pit mine. It's hard to see because it's hard to determine how high it is, but it is a pit mine. So with these mines, these little placer mines, what they do is miners, this isn't Native Americans now, so I want to make that clear, miners would literally come here. Here's the big one. This is a good placer mine to show you. They would go to these placer mines and they start digging and looking for minerals. So you go across this. Now it's like a squirrel bonanza in here. If you go across this, you can actually, this is what I wanted to show you guys real quick. It's not the best example. It's really not, but because you would have soil thrown up here. But so this is kind of what stratification is. You have a top layer, and you have another layer here. Now I'm not saying this is a layer here. I'm just saying for all extensive purposes that we're looking at. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5-ish. Now again, it keeps going. Obviously, that's not the end of things. It keeps going. Over here, it drops down, but there is a very significant clay level that is very strong in Colorado, and can often be mistaken for a place that this was kind of worked on, but not. Yeah, you can see where it was worked on very easy in this camera. You can see the little, so those are called pressure flakes. When you have something getting pushed down on the rock, when you kind of get to the end of what you want, you start pressure flaking things with an antler instead of hitting them with percussion flaking. So, like I said, this is an area that miners went into. And so the idea is that, behind my thought process at least, is that miners, oh, this is pretty nice. So this guys is actually, if you can see it correctly, this is a core. So a core is something where you're normally hitting objects off, but then when that object gets too small, you can start making new objects out of it, or sorry, turn that object into something that's useful. They were incredibly, Native Americans were incredibly good at doing this, and so you'll see spear points, arrowheads that are very different, but they are truly arrowheads or spearheads because they were formed in that way. And then as they were being formed, as they were being knocked off of the, after they got knocked off, and you still had this core remaining, you had this big rock that you liked, and you carry it around, you'd make tools with it, like so. Here's another thing I just picked up on the side. I want you guys to tell me in the comments if you think this is flaked or not. Do you think this is an artifact, which does include flakes? Artifacts are flakes. It doesn't have to just be a tool. Do you think this is a tool? And if you think it's a tool, what kind of tool do you think it is? Or is it none of the above? So that's a good question for you guys, because this one's a little tough, I must admit. So I'll put that down here, and that's where we got it from. So we'll have to mark that. But all in all, basically kind of what I want to get at the end here is that these placer mines where miners went, the same places that you had Native Americans going to for looking for artifacts. Looking for stones, that rocks, whatever, that would be best suited to them to actually make tools out of, or take with them to make tools out of later. Like here, I imagine this is a core. It's way too big to be anything else. So I imagine seeing that pops out, like, so that's okay. You can do that with objects where if you just touch them, they come out. Now, if you are actually excavating, you would never do that. You would leave that artifact in there and then go down, and that's how you would get that artifact actually when you go and add that to your data, you would go down further, and then you would close the area that you went down past, and then finally when you get down to the bottom of this artifact, you could pull it. Now this is definitely a core. You can see they've knocked off a multitude of different places right here. Sorry for the camera. They knocked off some more flakes here. They may have knocked off a thing that they wanted to be a spear point, so they worked it to where they got it. The next logical place is probably here. There's a great, it's actually a great place I would recommend going to on YouTube. I'll try to find it and put it in a link in the description. But it's, there's a gentleman who does, basically, I think it's Cheyenne. No, it's not Cheyenne. I'm sorry. It's, oh God, who was it? I'm trying to remember the tribe group that he was from, but I'll link him in the description. Anyway, he basically goes through the whole process of you know, how to flake, how to actually flake a stone, how to actually work a stone into a tool. So, and he's taught that, and he continues to pass that on, which is a wonderful thing. Flaking is not easy. Let me just state that first. It's very difficult to actually turn this large core into something that you want to possibly use later, like an arrowhead. This is not one, but just wanted to show you. And basically, yeah, he's I'll link him, I'll find him, and he talks about how you actually flake, and I will try to do a video on it. I'm not good at it. I've always been scared because I've seen a video of a professor doing it, and he cuts his hand so bad he's got to run to the emergency room with the tourniquet. So it's wonderful. But you can see here, just from the disturbance of the actual tree growing. So you see this, you see the roots coming up, and you can actually see the undulation and the terrain happening. And so that's what's pushed these objects here. Thankfully, it's not eroding. So, I mean, a really one that sticks out to me that's really actually quite gorgeous is this one right here. Now, let's see. I'm not going to... Fawn, come here. Fawn, come. Fawn. Hey, Fawn, get over here. Fawn. Fawn, come here. Sorry, my second foreman is not listening. Fawn, stop. Fawn, come here. Okay, so we just pulled this one. Fawn, come here. Sorry. Fawn. Sorry for all the my second in command here. Fawn. All right, now they're both going crazy. Guys, I'm gonna wrap it up here, but I want to show you this beautiful piece that just came out. I'm gonna catalog that. You can see the flakes very well. You can see everything really well on that. That's a great tool. My gosh, it was a spear and broke off. You can see where it broke off. But I gotta go grab my foreman and my second in command. So, all right, guys, it was a pleasure talking to you, and I'll see you next time on Too Thick Archaeology. I hope you could hear all this, considering it's on my phone. All right, I gotta grab my my bosses. They're pretty mad. All right, take care. Thanks, guys.